evening and welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Football Show. I'm your host, Earl Beerston. Joining me as co-host, Maceo Dill. We are awaiting the arrival of both Garrett Punchy Dill as well as Coach Keena Robinson. But first of all, Maceo, I'm going to run down the scores that we have thus far from this past weekend. In the Premier Division last night up at the Somerset Cricket Club, it was Somerset Trojans 1, PHC Zebras 5. Today at Wellington Oval, it was Hamilton Parish 1, St. George's Colts 1. At Bernard Park, it was North Village Rams 3, Robin Hood 0. And over at BAA Field, it was the Dandytown Hornets 1, Crossroads 2. And then in the First Division, yesterday at Southampton Oval, it was Paget Lions 6, Southampton Rangers 2. Up at the Somerset Cricket Club last night, it was Ireland Rangers 2, Somerset Eagles 3. And then today at Police Field, it was Young Men Social Club 0, BAA 2. And at the Wellington Oval, it was Wolves 1, St. David's 0. Those are the scores that we have thus far. And as we know at this moment, there's a kickoff at the Devonshire Recreation Club between the Devonshire Cougars and the Boulevard Blazers. But basically, let's jump right into last night. Somerset and PHC coming off of their Friendship Trophy win at the same location a week ago, back at the Somerset Cricket Club. And this time, a very convincing scoreline win without the services of their captain and playmaker, Marco Warren.
Yeah, they got to be happy with that. I saw a bit of that, right? PHC's got to be happy with it. They had some young players that totally bossed the game, totally dominate the game. There were no question about what that result was going to be. The result is without Marco, and PHC's finding their form at the right time of the season, right? They're definitely finding the form. I was highly critical of PHC at the beginning of the form because I thought they were going to be the team to beat and a team to lead the way in the league title, but they had a slow start, losing the first game, at their own field under their own lights. Maybe that was a distraction. The lights, losing that to North Village, but they're coming strong, and they're starting to look like championship material. The pieces of and we have a conversation all the time about the puzzle pieces, putting the team together. So today is an example that Marco Warren's not available. It's still a comprehensive puzzle put together that they can dominate a game and beat Somerset handsomely, 5-1. And I think it was 5 different scores as well.
So yeah, 5 different scores. Yeah.
So that's got to bode well, right? That's got to bode well to the direction that PHC's heading in. But for Somerset, it's got to be worrying. It's got to be worrying that after a win and a trophy, that they're not turning it around. They're not starting to turn that ship around, and they're not going from strength to strength at Somerset. It just goes back to, I think, the original comment that I had of Somerset. While they got a quality coach up there, at this time they're just not got players to match that, man.
Yeah, I think it comes down to more mentality than anything else. If you look at it, when you have someone like Justin Corday starting on the bench as we all know, Scott's a very disciplinarian, and he's not going to stand for, if you're missing training. I'm not saying that this is the actual fact, but to have someone like Justin Corday starting on the bench on a regular says a lot.
And this is why I would love the ability to interview the players and the coaching about those type of questions. My only speculation is with Justin Corday is starting the bench that he's not. I know Scott's been consistent with his behavior. You don't train properly, you don't play. I saw him do that with Cantwan Jennings at North Village. So it's not new that I like the ability to figure out why that is happening, why because it's definitely Justin definitely can help Somerset in this journey. Definitely, he's a player that can help. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know what that circumstance is.
And if you look at it, they haven't. I've seen Somerset play a few times, and I don't think they've had a consistent back four for a little while. There's always some either injury or card suspension or whatever it is. And I think that's also hurting and disrupting them, because if you have a goalkeeper, but your back four is not a settled back four, clearly communication starts to fall apart. Small things creep in, and it's very difficult to get that understanding and that relationship. Especially the two center halves and the goalkeeper have a relationship of understanding of, just because they work together so often. But if you're not got that regular availability, then you have these other problems creep in.
Yeah, and that's all part of managing the players, building, preparing the players to be capable of playing the game, to be capable of lasting a season is part of this whole puzzle, right? So even if you look at Justin Corday and Scott, is there some ability to compromise that relationship or that situation that he becomes available? I always say that coaching is the ability to sell what you want to do to players. Players are
Hmm.
the most important thing. Pep Guardiola speaks of it all the time. I mean, you saw he spoke of the kid, the English kid that came back overweight, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, you're not meeting this, and you can't. So how can I convince you to meet it? I mean,
Mm,
yes, they got a bigger carrot with money, fame, all that type of stuff, but coaching is the ability to convince players to buy into your plan.
yeah,
That's a
definitely.
big part of coaching, right? And
Right.
think Justin Cadet has to be convinced somehow to buy into this plan.
Mm,
And
mm.
maybe it's other people that mitigated around Somerset. I don't know. I don't know.
The other carrot or dangling thing that we talk about a lot is the fact that they've already won a trophy. Do you think the players are satisfied now? They've
Most
won
definitely, I
something.
think. I think they will be satisfied. That's the type of mentality that's there right now. They can hang their hat on that. They're not the old Somerset that if they won one, they wanted the rest of them, and that's the mentality. I think that is the mentality. That's easy enough to see.
Sure, sure.
They're already exceeded expectations for themselves this year.
Yeah, yeah. And early in the season too, because they picked up that
Yeah,
trophy in
that trophy
November.
could
So
that winning that trophy could be dangerous to them.
right, right. Yeah, well, let's go down to Wellington Oval, where Hamilton Parish picked up a vital point. As we know in the league, um, points are valuable. They now, sit on 13. They prevented St. George's from continuing that form that they had with a 1-1 draw. I mean, if you look at Parish, they have quite a few guys that are match winners in their team. It's again that communication and that understanding. I mean, you guys, you talked about it last year with the coach Sergio. How he was able to get those guys to play, to a certain level. The problem is now that level is kind of equal in the Premier Division as opposed to that First Division where they kind of outclass teams with their ability to have skill, pace, all of that. But now it's a matter of, can they get one or two over the line to really get themselves, out of that quote unquote. They're not in the relegation zone now, but if results go other ways, you could find yourself in that mix. So it's a good point for Hamilton Parish, I think.
Yeah, definitely a good point for Hamilton Parish. And on that subject, I think Hamilton Parish are where they are, where they're supposed to be at this time in their journey. They're actually where they're supposed to be. These players getting used to what this division's about. So I think it's a fair assessment. I mean, they showed that they're capable of something at the beginning of the season because they would have been exciting, and then that that syndrome kicks in as you see it kick in England. You come up, you're excited, you work hard, you get a few victories, then you say, "Hold on, it's not just I'm not just gonna keep getting these victories like I did last year. Yeah, I got to do something different where people don't take you so lightly, you know."
Hmm.
So the where they're supposed to be from Hamilton Paris. So definitely that's a good point for them today. St. George's be disappointed with that point. So Georgians have to be disappointed because they're in a title race, and this is another opportunity for St. George's to show that they're a real football team because they're in a title race, and they slip. They slip. This is a missed opportunity with the quality and the players that they have down there. They couldn't get that game across the line.
Mm.
And both Village and PHC won. So they're slipping behind the title race.
Yeah.
You know,
And you got Cougars playing tonight.
and you got Cougars playing tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I agree. St. George's would be disappointed with a 1-1 draw, given their latest form. They've had a month off. What has happened over that month? Them and actually Hamilton Parish have had a month off. But what has happened over that month? What are some of the things that the teams have worked on, if they've worked on anything at all? But again, like you said, St. George's will be disappointed with that point. Hamilton Parish will be very, very happy with a point, because if they keep getting points, they can end up in that Dudley Eve for next year, and that'll be a goal for them, like other clubs. But the points are there. You start off with 1, you hold on to the 1, you don't get a lost column, another stroke in the lost column. So that's a good thing.
It'll be interesting for Parish. Do they start to create some upsets against the bigger teams like a North Village, PHC? Do they upset there? They're definitely not going to be contenders, and they're definitely not going to be one. They're in a safety area because they're not going to get relegated. I can't see them getting relegated either. So they're in a safety area to really build on cementing their position at this league this year. Do they start to upset and get and win some of the against the bigger teams? Because remember when they played North Village the first time, they actually outplayed them, but they didn't win the game.
Right.
Do they learn from that? Do they learn from that?
That's a valid point. Between the coaches and the players, you decide how do we want to end this season? How do we want to run this second half of the season? Do we try to go all out and pick up wins? Do we try to not make sure we don't lose? How do we address it? And that's going to be the tricky area for them on what happens this second half of the season for them. But they picked up a point to start, which is what they would want. Points are what they want, and that's what they got today, a point.
Yeah.
Well, how you doing, Punchy? Welcome. Let's move to Bernard Park, where North Village defeated Robin Hood 3-0. North Village, we knew last night that PHC had taken over the lead following that 5-1 win over Somerset. But North Village are not ready to give up that title race just yet. And they went back to the top of the table with the 3-0 win over Robin Hood today. If we look at it, okay, Robin Hood haven't played, they haven't had a full team for most of the season, but they've now got numbers and they're out there now putting in some performances. And, Village did enough to get the 3 points. And sometimes that's how football is played. Do enough to get the 3 points. Punchy, your thoughts?
I think that's exactly what happened today. Do enough to get the 3 points. It wasn't excellent. I thought it was just, I was expecting a little bit more. The finishing was left a lot to be desired, man. The finishing was really poor. But I thought that what was good that I see with a lot of the younger players that come back from overseas, they were put into the team, which is a good sign also. But that score could have easily been like something like 7 or 8. The finishing was very questionable. With North Village, still the fact is that we've got 2 cups to play for. There's a league, not 2 cups, but the league and the FA. And so that was a very good, I think, even though it wasn't one of the better performances, but at least we got a good line with the 3 points, which I am happy for.
Yeah. Maceo, let's talk a little bit about Robin Hood because, there's got to be some pride there for the guys that hung around. they're going to want to make sure that they don't go the entire season without picking up at least a win. Where do you see that, if you see that?
The experience is not there, man. Robin, the experience is just not there, even with their pride, even with their best athlete. The experience is just not there to be able to compete. Teams don't have to be at their best to beat them. Again, North Village definitely weren't at their best. I want to make a point as it relates to North Village as well, because it was a detail in the game. The young kid, Owen Patella, he played in the midfield today, and he linked everything. He scored the first goal. He allowed North Village to play forward. And I think a trick's been missed with him. I'm glad to see him that he played out of the midfield, but a trick's been missed with him. And even with North Village didn't have some senior players available, and it was a different dynamics for him. They still got a ways to go and put together the puzzle. But in another sense, when we speak about the league, Robin Hood, North Village, we're questioning North Village's quality of play this whole season. We're questioning, but they're league leaders. What does that say about this league? That North Village has not struck good form just yet, but they're leading the league.
Because they're doing enough in each game to get the maximum points, and sometimes football don't have to be pretty to win.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamics. Can North Village strike form and start to run away, or does PHC, who's striking some type of form, pick them down? Does that fact that North Village is not striking form or playing well and winning, does that show up somewhere?
So what happens the day, Punchy, what happens the day North Village play really, really well and lose?
Good question. That's a very good question. Very good question. I thought they were okay against PHC in that final. But the question, what I'm looking at is when, I keep saying, when North Village got to play Cougars, they're going to have to play PHC again. They're going to go to St. George's to play against St. George's also, right? So those three games are going to be paramount. And I think Hamilton Parish is going to be in there too, because we're going to play Hamilton Parish away from home also. So what we're going to see, those 4 games are going to be paramount. You're talking about, can you get 12 points out of those 4 games? I'm not sure about that. But that's going to be a real task for North Village, in terms of, can they get through those 4 teams there? What will they do? And then you see what Crossroads done today. So is having a conversation with Gumbo about what he needs to do. It seems, well, he went his way today, but it's going to be tough, And like I said, what Maceo said, the PHC is hitting their form. It's not great, but there's some things they're doing right, So it's gonna be tough. North Village, it's not gonna be an easy road for North Village in the next couple of weeks.
Well, in saying that, it's not going to be easy for PHC, St. George's, and Devonshire Cougars as well, because they all have to play each other.
It's shaping up to be something very interesting.
Yeah.
If I had to make a decision right now, the informed team, I will be picking PHC. But I did that last year before it didn't work out. So if I had to make that decision, just how things are shaping up, PHC would be my favorite. Mind you, PHC is going to lose a couple of players that go back to school, but I still think they're putting that puzzle together a lot better than the rest of the teams at this time.
Yeah.
I'm great. Hey, Earl, adding to that about good schools, the players from North Village played today. A lot of them was, the overseas in school. That's going to be a real test also when we start talking about these paramount games that North Village will have for the league against away to St. George's, right? Home to Cougars, right? Away to even the Dennytown game, the next Dennytown game against North Village is not going to be easy. So there are some. It's going to be really interesting in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Coach Keita. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. As we said, we'll be joined by Coach Keita. Good evening, madam. Happy New Year to you.
Yes, good evening. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
All right. So we've been through the last night game, Somerset Trojans and PHC. We've been through St. George's and Parish that drew 1-1. We've been through North Village and Robin Hood, where North Village won 3-0. Now we're going to move to the match at BAA Field, where Crossroads defeated the Dandytown Hornets 2-1. Clearly, whatever is going on at St. John's Road is still lingering on. They have some issues, and I think again, the players have to sort this out. You talk about your head coaches, you talked about so many different things, but where are those Dandytown players that want to play, that really want to win? Something's going on. Macy, you have any insight?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have the insight of it. I mean, they're in disarray, right? But it goes down to what we talked about Somerset. When players get what they want, when they got what they want and they don't have the incentive to play, they just won't play. They don't have that old school pride that we talk about. They don't have it. You see it in professionals. If they don't get what they want, they wouldn't play. I mean, look at Aston Villa. They wasn't getting what they want out of Steven Gerrard. Next thing you know, the new coach comes in and they play great.
Oh, something's up with the internet.
That is what players are today. That's actually what they are. So the Dandytown players, for me, they don't have incentives of wanting to perform at this time, wanting to make that actual commitment to be able to perform. And maybe the only way, I mean, this is bad, right? This is bad because they lost to Crossroads. So it's not like they're not winning anything, but they're losing to Crossroads as in the relegation zone. So it's looking bad. They're the dynamics that they had last year between Jay and Aaron Dankins. That was a yin and yang dynamic. They don't have that now. So at the beginning they just had Jay, and now they just have Jenkins. They don't have all those balance to incentivize the players to want to perform. And I keep going back to what coaching is about, is to be able to convince the players to follow you. So there's always a saying that goes, "Oh, this coach Pep Guardiola only won because he's got good players." No, he convinces those players to still do what he wants them to do. And then you go back to a Leicester that won the league when they were never supposed to win the league, but a coach convinced them to play in a certain way and to perform and motivate them. So that's part of coaching. Part of coaching is, can you motivate them? And now I think coaching is showing up. The lack of ability to motivate players and incentivize players is showing up at any time. And it shows up every time. It shows up with every last one of us coaches. I keep saying the only coach that has won back-to-back league titles is Scott Morton, and that's over the last 20 years.
Mm.
You know, the
Yeah.
last 20 years, the only coach won back-to-back league titles, Scott Morton.
Yeah. Well, Punchy, Crossroads always seem to, in the second half of the season, the last few years, pull themselves out of a hole, and you know, and it's a great way to start the second half of the season for them, but still a lot of work to do. You know, they'll still be in the relegation battle, but clearly they find a way in the second half of the season.
Yeah. I think the organization itself is that they're not giving up, you know, with Gumbo's, Ralph Bean Jr. in his first year there. I have a lot of conversations with him. You know, he's always asking for advice on what he could do better, what he could do, what's missing from them. And what really comes out with him is that, you know, he's just trying to make sure that they understand what needs to be done to win. What when games are tight, the concentration. So we go in depth with all this talk. But I say, you know, Ralph, if one team in this country would just play correct for longer periods of time, do the simple things better, I think we're gonna be okay. You will be okay if you could just make sure this message goes across to the players that you're coaching. You know, keep them organized, keep them fit, and you're gonna get over the line. And I think that's what he's doing, because you know his one thing I do like about Ralph Bean Jr. is that he listens, you know, and he's smart, So I think again, Crossroads, I asked them out for relegation, but I think they're gonna be okay. I think they're gonna be okay.
Well, Coach Keita, you have this very good relationship with Aaron Denkins.
Keep losing you guys. As soon as you talk to me, I lose you.
Okay. What are some of the things he's talking about, you know, with what's going on at Dandytown?
Doesn't seem like she heard you.
I don't think she's ready.
Yeah,
Can you hear us?
Something's on up with her side.
Yeah.
It's just frozen.
No, she's not yet. Can you hear us now? Can you hear us? Yeah.
Okay, no, it doesn't look like she can.
Yeah, her internet's buffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the things that you know, if you look at a team like Dandytown, they're in the middle of the table. You know, 5 wins, 5 losses. You know, as the defending champions, they're the defending league champions. I mean, you know, where can you put your finger on what is going wrong over the last couple of months?
It's a couple of things. See, when Dandytown had to figure out how to keep the group from last year. So whatever they had to do to stop the boy Davis, Kamali Davis from leaving, you know, you had to figure that out. Whatever that was, if it was an incentive, you say, look, don't leave. You know, that was necessary. That was necessary to figure that out. And then they had a coaching change. I mean, that coaching structure was good together, you know, because I know Aaron Denkins as well. He's going to bring some type of rational thinking, and you know, he likes for people to be happy. Jay likes to get the game done, the game fun. Like it's not there for you to be happy; it's for you to do your job. But that's a good balance, right? It's a good balance in how do you have an emotional conversation with a player in a space to keep them apart versus how you now get the stick out and say you got to do what you got to do, otherwise you don't play. You know, so it was a good balance of managing those players that the two of them had together. One of them, you know, without the other, doesn't seem to work. It doesn't seem to work to get that message across to the players, and the players are probably already. You mean they're in that space where they know they're not going to get relegated. They don't feel they win the league, so they're going to go in that space where they don tools. Yeah, I think the players are don tools, and I don't know what you can do to make them pick up the tools again.
Interesting.
You know?
Interesting, yeah. Hey, Earl, I want to add to this here about the time. It's interesting. Are they playing bad a minute and losing, or are they playing
They're actually
good
playing
and losing?
bad.
Which
They're
which
actually
one
playing
are
bad.
they playing bad and losing, or are they playing good and losing? Because you know that can happen. You can play good and still lose. So
I've seen them. I've seen them play 3 times this year, and I
yeah,
don't think they're playing bad at all. It's just. I think a lot of it comes down to mental errors, more so than the physical part. I watched them when they played Hamilton Parish, and the first 35 minutes they clearly dominated the match, but girls win the game. They missed several chances. Their front three squandered chance after chance after chance. Hamilton Parish went down there and were deadly inside their box, and but Dennytown never looked out of the game despite the scoreline. They never looked out like they were out of the game, and they continue to play. They continue to press. They continue to do so many things, good things, but again, they're just not putting the ball away more than they're giving up, girls. So, yeah.
And the injections of the college players that came back has not even been helpful.
Yeah.
It's not even been helpful to give them a bit of life. And in fact, the loss against is something wrong, right? It's something seriously.
It's clearly something wrong within the dressing room.
Yeah, within the dressing room, and I think the coaching staff has probably lost the dressing room, and and I keep harping on the incentives. If their field was ready, that would have been incentive for the players. I don't know. The feeling stagnant, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the older players, they've been around a bit just too long, right? Yeah.
I'm adding to this because we're having this long conversation about Dennytown and why they've all fallen off from grace. Fallen from grace. I remember when Norfolk said that we were going to be relegated to the second division. I think our problem was that we had gone, a lot of the players like myself, my brother Kelvin, Gumbo, Joe Trott, have been in the national program. So we played all through that Pan American games down in the Republic. So I think it was fatigue of your best players. That is Dennytown's. That's not Dennytown's case. So it is something.
Maybe they took the Hill summer off. Maybe they took the Hill summer off.
Well, yeah, they're still taking the summer off. Yeah, they're still in the summer break. It is disheartening because when they were playing Norfolk in that semifinal with Anderson Davis, I picked them to win. But again, sometimes even with all the talent and you figure that this is going to work, this will finally get it right, then they haven't got this right. And it's funny how it happens. How you can play your best football and still lose. And so it's very psychological with them right now. I really do believe.
I'm pretty sure with the assistance of DeVar Boyles, they will come to some resolution and finish the season strong. I'm got that much confidence in Dennytown as they have a lot of pride at that club, and I'm pretty sure those that stand on the sideline that are very much got their hands in on the club will probably demand a lot more from the players, especially a lot more respect for the club. Yeah, so trust me, I think they'll make a run. They'll make a run. We're going to take another commercial break, and we'll be back with more of the Islandstadt Football Show. We'll be right back.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Let's see if we can bring in Coach Keita now. Coach, can you hear us now?
Yes, I hear you. They think
Okay.
this is one.
Okay, all right, good stuff, good stuff. Before we jump on to the first division, I was asking you what's being that you have a very good relationship with Aaron Jenkins and the struggles I guess he's having right now at St. John's. What's he saying about it?
Actually, we haven't really chatted much lately. He's been more focused with Danny Town, so he hasn't really been in and around the national team. And when he was with us, we were in the middle of our training camp, so we really didn't speak too much about Danny Town. The last match they had would have been the defeat to North Village on Boxing Day, and then after that we were in training camp. So I'm sure that he's of the understanding based off the results and things that's happening, and with all the other, I would say, issues that they're having at Danny Town, understanding that this season is a survival of many in many aspects, right? Don't think they'll be in danger of relegation, but just kind of working out some kinks. They brought in some new players over the during the transfer window, so getting them to fit into what it is that they're trying to do, or regain at Danny Town. But I would know that a loss today to Crossroads will be something that they will definitely have to look at. And I mean, he's off island, so I know he wasn't there for that match, but Danny Town will definitely be looking at like what is going wrong. Is it just not? Are they just not gelling? Are they just not? A training session still the same? Like we talked about it from the beginning of the season. Are they going to be able to replicate that energy? And then in Bermuda, what happens is now we're not winning, so there's other excuses that pop into players' heads, and they enter into it instead of like digging deep and saying, "Yo, guys, we could do this." They've had some decent results, and I thought that they were on the up, but I don't know. But we haven't had any kind of discussions on anything happening at Dandy Town.
All right, cool. So let's jump into this first division. The Paget Lions took on Southampton Rangers at Southampton Oval yesterday. Paget jumped out to an early 2-0 lead. Rangers pulled back 2 goals, but then Paget just stormed on from there, winning 6-2, coming off of that win against Social Club on New Year's Day to win the Shield. They're still riding high, and looking at the performance yesterday, in the second half, I think that those youngsters working around with Antoine Russell are starting to grow and believe in themselves, because you could see it in their ability to defend as a unit and attack as a unit, and to defeat Southampton Rangers, who have been on a run in the first division of late. It bodes well for Paget. Punchy?
I'm glad you brought that subject up, because I was up there watching the game between Social Club and BA, and it was coming down to the last 5 minutes. Anyway, the game was almost, and I saw Antoine Russell got out of the car. Like, "Hey, you guys, you don't believe in me. You don't believe in me." He had to say. I said, "Yeah, okay." I said, "Well, yeah, you always talking about what's gonna happen next year and this and that." I said, "Oh, yeah, okay, all right." But that's a good thing for him, for Paget. I always thought, as we four probably picked Paget to win that game, of course. But it's still, it's still early. And remember, in that league, and I'm not being biased like that. I'm not trying to, but it's 2 or 3 good teams. And I say it to you. What's going to be interesting for me is that they're on a good roll. I think Antoine, I'm not questioning his ability as a coach, but it'd be difficult for him to play and coach when he gets into the next league, because I do think Patrick will be promoted, but it's what he does next. And we'll see. We will see. And it's all. That's why I told Antoine today. He said, Antoine, don't forget what I say. He said, you guys always talking about what I do next. I say, no. Well, yeah, it's always about this. It's about statistics. I said, when you on a Friday night or Saturday night, you got to play PHC. You're going to be ready. So is he going to be able to play and coach next year? It's going to be difficult for him to. I don't think so. I think he's going to have to dedicate himself to really coaching. And I think I'm glad for him because they're building a good program. They're starting again. So there is a good start, I mean, we do know there's talent there.
Yeah. The good thing for Paget right now, they have it's similar to what Dandytown had in Dankins when you have someone like Don Vickers on the sideline as well. And the way he manages situations, it's a lot more calmer than, a lot of other people in the way they get their message across. What would you say about someone like Don Vickers, Maceo?
Yeah, I mean, we're talked about Don, last year we talked about Don, with his football knowledge, taking on a bigger team and a bigger challenge. Now Don's got bigger players there. When you look at Patrick there, they actually have Premier League players, that they have there. And I think it's right to analyze Antoine as a inexperienced coach. That's what he is right now. He's an inexperienced coach, and only inexperienced because it's his first year doing it. That says you're inexperienced. Yes, he's a good learner. He will learn quicker. He will learn, and he's brave enough. But he has some learning to do in what coaching looks like. Now, if I'm being critical of Paget, yes, they should win the league with the players they have and the league that they're playing in. We shouldn't be impressed by them winning the league because they should do that. They should not lose a game. Where they should be start to measure themselves from is them not giving up goals. So they gave up 2 goals to Rangers. They shouldn't be giving up 2 goals to Rangers after going ahead of games. They shouldn't be form their habits. That's not good. That's not good because what they need to learn right now that they're going to take into the next project is how to defend. Because we talked about Hamilton Parish, right? We as the pundit, we're seeing it from a large. We're not seeing it from an individual team. We're seeing it from a head in a football, right? And if you're giving up goals in these circumstances, and that pattern's happened a couple of times. They did it up Somerset the other night, where they can race out and they can score goals, and then they give up goals. That's just not good. That's not good to give up those goals.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to say don't give up goals, but you got to remember that everybody has an opponent, and if your opponent's going to put a chance away or 2 chances away, you can't knock that.
You set up and you don't let that opponent with the players that Paget have at their disposal. They need to set up. They need to be able to set up, not to allow these other players to have this opportunity to give goals, because they're gonna in the next league, because their ambitions got to be promotion. In the next opportunity, the next league they got, they're gonna face stiffer opposition that can score more goals. They're not gonna have it all their own way. So their challenge to themselves this year. The challenge to themselves is how many clean sheets we can keep. That should be a challenge that they put on themselves. And they should be disappointed in themselves if they don't keep clean sheets.
Let me get Coach Keita's thoughts on that.
Yeah, so we talk. We have one person talking about Paget next year, one person talking about Paget this year, and while I agree with both, their goal right now obviously is to be promoted. They're getting results, and while like I agree, they should be looking at not leaking goals because they know they're gonna score. They have an Anton Russell, they know they're gonna score goals. So while they're looking at not leaking goals, understanding, as long as they have an understanding of that part of their game and knowing that it's something that they have to work on, then keep doing what they're doing, because that part of their game they will have to work on for next year. Patrick should be winning these games. It's not a matter of, a blip here and there. Like, I'm happy to see a team that should be winning, and winning, comes like Rangers, obviously not horrible, came back yesterday, got 2 goals, but they regrouped and they went on to win the match. What happened to allow those 2 goals? You have to also remember the game happens in moments, and it's in the other team's moment. How do you manage that? So I'm sure that they will be working on those things, and I agree that they would need to be working on not leaking goals now, because that's going to bode well for their preparation for next season.
Definitely. Well, let's look at the match last night up at the Somerset Cricket Club. Island Rangers 2, Somerset Eagles picked up their first win of the season.
I tell you I'm not playing no more, right? I already tell you that I'm out. I already tell you that I tell you that I'm done. Guys, I don't have to give me no more points. I threw in the towel a long time ago. I've thrown it in on the show. I've thrown it in person. I've sent in WhatsApps.
It's too bad you weren't with us last week, because I indicated that on that same Boxing Day, Island Rangers played, and they had the goalkeeper sent off in the 20th minute. So they were going in their next game, which was against Somerset Eagles, without a goalkeeper, without a recognized goalkeeper. And that was one of the reasons I picked Somerset Eagles, because of late they've been scoring goals. And I know Island Rangers will struggle, because in the back of their mind, they're not got a lot of confidence in whoever goes and goals. They might say it, but the actions speak louder than words. And I saw that for myself when they went down to 10 men, and how much their game changed in that period of time. So that's why I picked Somerset Eagles. And Somerset Eagles was up 3-0 in the first half. Island Rangers scored 2 goals in 2 minutes early in the second half. So it was pure drama. But looking at a team like Somerset Eagles, I mean, they've come close. They've been blown out. They've had all sorts of ups and downs this season, but to finally get that what we consider a monkey off your back and get a win, where do you think they go from here?
Only the football courts know that answer, and I'm not gonna sit next to the football courts. And they haven't been communicating with me lately. I would want to think that is their motivation to say, let's do better. But it also could be, well, we got what we wanted. We won 1 game, and that's it. It could be we won a game, and that was our whole idea. The media said that we're not going to win a game, and we won a game, so we're satisfied. And then they're gonna play some bad opposition too. That's the other piece, right? They're gonna play against some bad opposition than Island Rangers. So they're stealing the spot of bother. For me, they're stealing the spot of bother. It would actually surprise me if they start to get momentum and start to upset teams. That would be surprising.
Coach, let me ask you about a team like Island Rangers, because as we know, no 2 weekends are alike for them. They'll pick up a big win over a top club, and then they look like they've never played football before when they're playing some of the clubs that are near them or below them. So how do you get more consistent? How do they get more consistent?
I mean, if you're saying that the reason, probably one of the main reasons behind the loss today was obviously not having their goalkeeper. And we speak about this a lot, having that person down the back that kind of adds stability to the team. I think they will look at this loss today and chalk it up to that. But the ball still has to get to the goalkeeper, yeah? So, what else went wrong for Island Rangers? And then they came back, right? So you're saying they kind of came back and got into the match. They probably realized, hey, 1 second, this is Eagles. Like, Eagles hasn't won a match. Eagles haven't beat anybody. Like, are we going to be that first team that gives them 3 points? And so they'll have to dig deep and try to find out what were they doing that led to the consistency of how they were in the beginning of the season. but life happens, right? So you probably got guys that's got injuries, have work commitments, have different things where they're not training as much. They're probably not, obviously, you guys got injured. You don't have great physio facilities or great physio opportunities. Some can't even afford to go to physio. So, and what's their numbers like? Again, did they pick up enough surplus players from Somerset or wherever else to kind of maintain their team and have enough depth to be a sustainable team? Because in the beginning we were having real conversations about Island Rangers up there. And so now what's going wrong? My hope is that they understand that this may have just been a blip, and got 2 guys show up training this week. Like, you know what I mean? Don't take it as it's your fault. This is why, you know what I mean? Understand that you were a main player down, and now we just pick ourselves back up and we look forward to the next challenge. I just hope they don't play pageant now.
Sure. Punchy, you talk about the 3 clubs at the West End. Last night, Somerset Eagles were the victorious ones out of all 3.
Right.
Imagine
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's a cause for concern to me about, again, in this country, about like and I'm not gonna jump ahead of myself here about what's happening with BA when I saw what the result was against Social Club today. And you read the papers of what's happening with BA, Woodlagoon, what the structure is. And I really do understand, I really do know that when you're not structured right, what's happening on BA, what Drew's trying to do, and what's happening on just read on it. So where are these clubs going? Like, what is, what's the next? What's next? And I'm saying to you also, I hope Pedgie gets this right also. But BA today probably had a lot more incentive to be playing better football. What is Island Rangers doing? What is Somerset Eagles doing? I mean, are they, like I said, like St. David, are they just going to be here just to play in the league? So now we're talking about structure, future. And I think, I just don't see that the West End clubs, Morty's going to take some time up to Somerset, because remember, that's number 1. But the rest of them, I don't see it, Earl. I don't see it. I don't see what their intent is, what they're going to do in the next couple of years. I don't see it. So that's my cause for concern. Like I keep talking about the West End part of this country, right? It's really something that we have to look at now, what's going on in our country, in terms of if that part of the country is suffering, then you better understand what's going to happen in this country in the next couple of years.
Then, well, Punchy already mentioned it at Police Field earlier today. BAA defeated Young Man Social Club 2-0. Clearly, Young Man Social Club would be still a bit down after that loss in the Shield final on New Year's Day. They were down 3-0. Were able to come back 3-2, but unfortunately time ran out. With Paget lifting the trophy. But then they have an opportunity today to rebound against a youthful, skillful, pacey BAA team, and BAA after scoreless first half was able to put the ball away twice. I mean, if you look at how Drew sets up youngsters and makes them believe that they are better than, sometimes better than what they are because of the way he likes them to play and gives them the confidence to go out and play. I mean, you've been around Andrew quite some time, Maceo. Just talk about how he gives these young men the confidence to go up against some of these teams that 2 years ago they would have been intimidated by.
Yeah, it's simple. It's what we talk about, that puzzle piece. It's not just saying, okay, I have a good striker, so I'm going to play him. Okay, who does that? What's the relationship that good striker is going to have with that midfielder, that winger? That, so it's a puzzle piece of what personalities that you put together, and then transmitting information that they know what they're supposed to be doing. So that's the good thing about Andrew, that the ability to transfer information, that everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. So when there is a mistake, you can identify where it is, and when there's a goal, you can identify this is what we did in training to lead to a goal. But it's also big, like personalities. If I cross reference with what I know with coaches that I'm spent time around. So let's say Andrew and Kenny. I remember spending time around Kenny early when he was prepared to play youngsters. Kenny at North Village, when he first came to North Village in the 90s, he played a lot of youngsters. And in my opinion, he played youngsters that yet their ability was there, but their personality wasn't there. Whereas if I look at Andrew, if he plays a youngster, it's because that personality and ability is there. Those two things, that they can handle certain things. And he compensates with, maybe you're a little bit insecure or inexperienced as a youngster, with I'm gonna put a big brother next to you in the team. So I'm gonna put a big brother next to you in the team that's gonna make sure that your ability shows out on the team. So that's the puzzle piece. And I can give a specific scenario in the difference. I always remember Jamali Samuels, the great at North Village. He was the next future of center backs at North Village, but he wasn't ready at the time to play against a Kenny Mills and a Kenny Mills and a Steve at PHC. But he got put in that game. Which he shouldn't have been put in that game. Whereas Andrew makes a different decision. He realizes that you're not ready to be put in that game just yet, even though or I'm going to put somebody next to you that's going to be your big brother. And Andrew puts that puzzle together. That's the detail of putting the puzzle together with personality. I'm not just taking a good player and playing him because he's a good player. Who do I play him around? Who protects him? Who does stuff like that? So that's the difference. And then another big difference is he structures the game according to how it should be played. He structured defensively. So defensively, something that we get very wrong in Bermuda. We get the ability to defend very, very wrong in Bermuda. If you go through Andrew's racket of coaching, you're not going to see even when it's lowest, you're not going to see his lowest 4-0, 5-0. Even if you look at when he coached at International, against Guatemala or battle teams that is coached defensively, he gets it right. And that's what we don't do in Bermuda. We don't get defensively right.
Punchy, let's talk a little bit about Social Club, because I mean they're still in the mix at the top half of the table, but they need to get some results. They're stuck on these 14 points. How do they change it around? How do they get themselves back into some sort of form? Some sort of. I mean, you watched a bit of them. It looked at times like it was a struggle for them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they couldn't figure out. Yeah, they would put up against a good coach in the defensive. Macy was saying it defensively, what Andrew has set up. And I saw the last 15 minutes, and they were just all over the place. Misplaced passing, decision makings in the top third, and I thought, this, are they going to bully BA? But I think again, Social Club is rebuilding. They got these players that came from other teams that are restructuring the program. And it's going to take some time for them. And then the person is coaching them. He's when you're up against Andrew, you got to know what you're doing. And so I just think the Social Club has still got some ways to go. I'm not looking for them to be promoted. Not what I witnessed today. No. And if they do get in, what would they do next? What's the next? What's next?
Not to be facetious or anything, but Social Club has been rebuilding since the 60s when they wanted Triple Crown. What they're building? What are they actually building?
Right.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, a team like Social Club and a team like BAA clearly right now heading in two opposite directions. Um, you know, I hate to see a team who has potential just throw it all away. But looking at what faces the coaching staff at Social Club, where do you see them trying to first of all regain some confidence in the players?
Well, let's look at the game itself, right? As an isolated match. So BAA would have had some players back that have been overseas, yes. So Social Club is playing against a different setup of players. I'm sure some quality players, some players that Andrew would have welcomed back. Not to negate anything that Andrew done, because I just think he's amazing. But Social Club would have had to go into that game with a different mindset. We talk about Social Club like every season about them building and where they're heading, and it looked like that team doesn't get promoted, and then somewhere along the way this happens. All right, do they have a structure in place? So if you ask me, I would need to know what their structure is. Did they have a plan? Do they have a plan? Do they have a plan? Are they saying that, you know what, this season, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna be looking to do, and in 2025, this is what, like in 2018, did Social Club sit down and say, in 2022, this is where we want it to be? Do we have teams in this country that do that? No. All right. We're very much right now, and we don't work on a development or a structured process for the most part. All right, the teams that are being successful have like good. We talk about this, good junior programs. So they don't have to structure theirs as much because they have that upward mobility. They have that farm, so to speak. Teams like a Social Club will struggle because they don't have that. And we know they're battling with North Phillies, they're battling with Dennytown, they're battling with whoever else is centrally located, the BAAs, the Bascoms. You understand? So they're gonna only be able to do what they can do. They probably don't even have the mental capacity. They probably don't even have the technology or anything to actually even have a look at BAA or a look at even themselves playing and be able to say, this is what you're doing and this is what you need to do. Right? There are clubs that have that. We know that. And those are the clubs that are doing well. But I think we understand where we are in this country. Like, I mean, I say I throw in the towel, but I'm not surprised by anything that's taken place because it's just where we are.
Yeah. The final first division match of the weekend saw Wolves edge St. David's 1-0 at Wellington Oval. Coach, Wolves, very interesting group. You know, you never know who's going to show up for them, but they seem to be getting the job done this year, and presently top of the table.
Yeah, and you look at the Wolves and think, oh, they're so inconsistent, but are they? You know, they're grinding out results still, right? They're getting results. They're a team that they're doing the things that they have to do, and you can almost bet on them to get the result that they're trying to get. Something good is happening there. You know, they're not smashing teams, so to speak, but they're getting results. So, you know, I think they can not relax or rest on their laurels, but can feel pretty confident and comfortable in the things that's happening at Wolves, and can probably start to look, you know, maybe, yes, we can come up and again, as Maceo put with the Patrick team, start to put in place what they need to do for next season.
Punchy, you were at the beginning of the season talking about they have a lot of talent at Wolves, but it's the organizational, structurally things that they need to make sure they get right. They're now top of the table. What advice would you have for them now?
Mm. You know, even that 1-0, you only beat St. Davis 1-0. Oh, that would be like, whoa. Maybe hangover from the Christmas party and whatever. Anyway, for them, again, is what we keep talking about. We keep talking about structure. We keep using this word structure. Structure with somebody who would take that team with the talent that they have and the following to another level. What is the progress? I think Wolves are probably going to be promoted. Yeah, I think they will be. Yeah, they will. They will get promoted. And as always, okay, who's going to be in charge of the team after that? Who's in charge of the team now? I just think that for them, it's a building process. What can you do with all this talent and the person? They need someone else in charge of their team with the talent that they have. When they get promoted, because they will be promoted, I could bet you on that.
Okay.
That will be my concern for Wolves. With the back end, and they have a real good following. Trust me, like that. What would happen with
Oh yeah.
right? But remember those games, I keep telling, like to Antoine Russell say, remember those night games when you gotta go demonstrate record play. So you gotta be ready. So that's the thing I have with Wolves. Again, looking at what is the future for the next couple of years. Another year, what's the plans? Because they should be winning that league. They should be. It's not even a doubt. They've been around long enough. They should be winning that league. But again, of course, for concern for me in terms of the direction they're going to take once they are promoted.
Okay. Maceo, looking at both St. David's and Wolves, St. David's had players who, like all these other clubs, have players that have come back and given them a boost over the Christmas period. They were able to draw with Padgett before Christmas. They defeated Somerset Eagles just after the New Year, and now they lose 1-0 to Wolves. Your thoughts on St. David's and Wolves, for that matter of fact?
Yeah, I mean, it's not too much I can say on St. David's. I mean, I always like to speak from historical, where we are, where we're going. And I mean, we're talking about this word structure of Wolves and wanting the clubs to be for our structure to determine where we're going. And it's a bigger conversation for another time, because there's conversations now. I'm seeing the people like Dennis Brown putting conversations about going to a World Cup, And if you go to a World Cup, I think from the BFA level down, we have to restructure. We have to figure out how to get better at doing football in Bermuda. How to make each club relevant, to the development of football and development of their players. At this present time, if we bring that conversation back to that game between St. David's and Wolves, I mean, St. David's, we talked about it before, they had the best of coaches down there. They had Andrew Bascom, had Sergio Goda, they had Garrett Deal over there. They had the best of coaches over the last 3 or 4 decades that's not been able to change their plight down there. Cricket is a different story. They're more into that. And Wolves are the same thing. We can say Wolves haven't excited us since Dennis Brown was there. Where he structured, he structured their football, he structured their training, and the results came. You saw the results. He was limited where he can take them in the Premier League, but they were an exciting outfit at that time. And that momentum got lost. It wasn't a plan like Keita says to say, well, if I've got Dennis Brown down there, is Dennis Brown teaching 5 more coaches down there that's going to take over next time? Or we're going to have a Dennis Brown. And we can speak of that of North Village. North Village is recycled Kenny. When Kenny came back, he was very structured. It wasn't a thing that we're going to teach more coaches to take over. So we have a continuation plan. I don't think no club has that. I don't think we have that in this country yet. That we have this continuation that we're producing. When we're not producing, we're talking about on this show that we're now seeing players that actually have a problem running and kicking. Like at least at least 20, 30, 40 years ago, we didn't have players that had a run. That if you're on the field, you didn't have a problem with fitness or running and kicking. Like you could do the basic stuff. We now see players in the Premier League that have a basic inability, a very basic inability.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our last commercial break. When we come back, we're going to look at our picks from this weekend and make our picks for next weekend. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
And welcome back. Well, let's get into the picks from this past weekend. We had Somerset going down 5-1 to PHC. We all took PHC. We had Hamilton Parish drawing 1-1 with St. George. We all took St. George. We had North Village winning 3-0 over Robin Hood, and we all took North Village. We all took Denby Town Hornets over Crossroads, but we know Crossroads won that 2-1. Then in the first division, it was Paget 6, Southampton Rangers 2. We all took Paget. And then it was Island Rangers 2, Somerset Eagles 3. Myself and Punchy took Eagles, and Maceo and Coach Keita took Island Rangers. Social Club and BAA, we all took BAA except Coach Keita, and we know that BAA won that match 2-0. And then Wolves and St. David's, we all took Wolves, who won 1-0. So after all said and done, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had 6. Punchy would have 6. Maceo would have 5. We still only have the and we're still waiting on the match from tonight, Devonshire Cougars and Boulevard Blazers. And of course, Coach Keita, you will have 4 on the night. You cool with that, Coach Keita?
All the buses are closed.
You're muted. She having trouble again? Okay. All right, so let's get into this week's picks. On Thursday night, and Punchy, you're going to be up first. Thursday night, Dandytown Hornets face St. George's Colts at BAA Field.
And you know what? Earl, I'm gonna get crazy to the point. I don't. St. George's is still kind of, but I'm gonna go. This is not easy. I'm gonna go with Dannytown being in disarray. I'm gonna go with St. George's by the odd girl.
Okay.
I'm going with St. George's for this win.
Okay. Maceo?
Yeah, it's for the same reason. I mean, I'm not a firm believer in St. George's as I was 3 weeks ago. The momentum that they were. So I'm not a believer they're contenders anymore. But I believe they should be Dandytown because of Dandytown's disintegrate. Not so much that St. George's is doing what they're supposed to do. They'll beat those type of games. Yeah. So I'll pick St. George's.
Yeah, because of the state in which Dandytown is in, I'm thinking St. George's as well. As you guys have perfectly already described, Dandytown, a lot of work to be done, both on and off the field, to get whatever's going wrong inside that club to get it right. On Saturday at 9 o'clock at BAA Field, Boulevard Blazers take on Hamilton Parish. Maceo.
Yeah, Hamilton Parish will win this game. Boulevard's been dormant for too long. They're gonna struggle to be focused for 90 minutes. Boulevard is a club that need games to be played to keep them fit, to keep them focused, and they've been away from the game for too long.
Well, I think Boulevard have proven they've been tough to beat at BAA Field. I'm gonna take this one as a draw, because I think Parish might have a lot on their side going into this one, coming off of this draw with St. George's. That'll be a confident booster. But again, I just think Boulevard's tough to beat at BAA Field, and I'm just gonna take a draw. What about you, Punchy?
That's a good point, Earl. Good point. I would consider what for my pick. What would we result tonight out at Damage Rack? I think Boulevard here will. I think that's. I would put that down as a draw also. I'm going with you, Earl.
Okay. All right. And on Sunday, PHC Zebras host the Devonshire Cougars. Again, we don't know what's going on out at Devonshire Rec tonight. However, PHC following that 5-1 win over Somerset last night, after their cup win, even playing last night without Marco Warren, not sure if he'll be back in the team next week, Sunday. But I'm going to take PHC because they're riding high right now with a lot of confidence in that camp. Punchy?
I think yeah, and PHC home. I think I'm gonna go with PHC on this one also, Earl. Considering, yeah. I think the momentum is on this with them. Even that 1-0 win over Norfolk, the momentum is there. So, yeah, I'm gonna put PHC for this one.
Maceo?
Yeah, for me, instead of Cougars being the contenders that I thought they were going to be, they look like they're pretending. They're not contending. They're actually been the pretenders, and I think PHC is opposite from what the analysts that I had them at the beginning of the season. I think they're genuine contenders. So
Cougars are in the mix, man. Cougars are in the mix in the Premier Division.
Yeah, they're not. Cougars are not done the things that I think they should. That I thought they would have done. To start to dominate and start to be in there. Right. They're like, for me, hanging on by a thread to be in the mix. They're not totally in the mix yet, right? So because of that, I'm picking PHC to win that one.
Okay.
Cougars has not gave me a lot of confidence in that they're contenders.
Punchy, you're up. Crossroads will entertain North Village Rams at Lords and St. David's on Sunday.
Well, that's a very good victory for them against any time, but I don't think they're gonna do it against North Village. No. The stakes are high for North Village now. It's getting high. Yeah, for some type of silverware. I think when we go down there, I think North Village will beat this game. Again, especially, I still think they played a better football on those type of fields. They weren't really good today at all. The surface will suit North Village. Gumbo will have to do some work in terms of how they're gonna nullify North Village. But I'm putting North Village to win this game.
Okay. Maceo?
North Village couldn't have been handed a better schedule, right? Yeah, but there's some dynamics that's happened. North Village is going to lose like 4 or 5 players, in addition to already 3 or 4 players being out. You know, that being out of their team. Momentum favors right now. Well, I shouldn't say favors. Crossroads has got a bit of momentum about them, but I think North Village's ability to not give up goals is what is going to be the difference. All season, whether North Village is playing good or not, they're not giving up goals, right? They're and that's been the only team that was able to really open them up was St. George's, and that's because also North Village didn't have Jalen Harvey for that game as well, so that was a factor. So I think the fact that North Village doesn't give up goals, they're going to be favorites to win this game.
Okay. All right. Maceo, you couldn't have put it any better. They would know where they stand with St. George's, because St. George's play on Thursday night, and then their 2 closest rivals actually face each other. So this will be an opportunity for them if they're able to get over the line against Crossroads, hoping that PHC and Cougars draw. That would give them just a little more breathing room, or Devonshire Cougars win, or something that gives them some breathing room. But I think the way North Village set up, I honestly believe they will get over the line against Crossroads on Sunday. Final Premier Division match. Get a coin out, because the Somerset Trojans host Robin Hood. Maceo.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, this is a good match for Somerset Trojans. Robin Hood, I'm seeing them enough times this season. They just don't have it in them to win a game. Somerset's got to be on just because the name Somerset. Just because the name Somerset, and they got to be in. And this is a good opportunity, for and they got Morty at the helm there. So I'm picking Somerset to beat Robin Hood.
I've already put down the Trojans. Punchy?
Oh yeah. Robin Hood's not going to be go up there. No, I just know what I saw today. A lot of youngsters, a lot of heart. Give them that, Robin Hood. But no, not against Morty will figure that out. Somerset to win that game.
Now we go to the First Division. Very interesting matchup on Saturday. Somerset Eagles entertain Devonshire Colts. This one is a doozy. I'm going to go out on a limb for a second time, for a second week in a row. And I'm going to take Somerset Eagles on this game, because I think the confidence will be high. And Devonshire Colts have been a bit inconsistent with results. And I think with Somerset Eagles feeling good about themselves, beating Island Rangers, I think they'll have just enough to get over the line against Devonshire Colts. Punchy?
No, I'm going with Colts on this. I think Somerset Eagles had a really good time. I know they ain't, sometimes it's like all out, but I think that game, they when they beat what they, anyway. I picked Somerset Eagles to beat Island Rangers, of course, but I don't think that's not going to hold true when they play Devonshire Colts. I'm picking Devonshire Colts for this.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Maceo?
mean, Ray's pattern and Ray's history, he beats the people in this league that is supposed to beat. And that Richard Coates is supposed to beat Somerset Eagles in the condition that they're in. And I think that Richard Coates will beat some. And I don't think Somerset Eagles going to have the same motivation to play a rival team. I mean, they had a motivation to play a rival team with the Dockyard Friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to have that same motivation going to this week to play Daventry Colts.
Okay.
So I think Daventry Colts for that matter.
All right. Punchy. St. David's host Social Club.
That's a little tricky, but I think since Social Club will take care of this, they'll take care of that. I mean, even though they were losing today, they never gave up. They forward.
Yeah.
I thought sometimes the behavior was questionable when the Colts didn't go with them. But I think Social Club got enough to beat St. David's at St. David's. I'm going with Social Club to win this.
Okay. Maceo?
Yeah, I'm going with Social Club as well. They'll get this one right. They'll want to hang on to the slim hopes of title content, promotion.
Yeah, I've gone with Social Club as well, and with that same understanding that they're going to want to make sure if there's any chance of them getting promoted, they keep it with a result in this one. Motocross is on Sunday. Maceo Yap. Wolves entertain Southampton Rangers.
Wolves will get across. Wolves has got momentum now. Wolves is similar to Cougars when they got momentum. They got momentum because they're winning games. They're on top of the league. Promotions in their sight. They'll get across the line with this one.
Yeah, I think Southampton Rangers have gotten away with not having a recognized goalkeeper in some of their games that they even won. But I don't think they'll have enough to get over this one. So I'm going to take Wolves over Southampton Rangers on Sunday at Wellington Oval. Punchy?
Yeah. Well, I think Southampton Rangers, I think Wolves will win this. Definitely. And I think, the other guys that come up to me in the street and say, hey, well, listen to your show. Yeah, we're really trying. We want to do this and do that. So we're making it, really, really, for Wolves, we're asking questions. Yeah. And it's nothing personal. It's about what you are trying to achieve. But I think Wolves will win this. I think Wolves will win this. Wolves, that momentum is there. And again, we keep talking about structure. And I think eventually they're going to get to that point, but how long will it take? I do know they will be promoted. I'm sure of that.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir. Final First Division match. Island Rangers entertain BAA. I've already put down BAA. Punchy?
Where's the game to? Up in Dockyard?
Up Somerset.
Yeah.
Island Rangers are playing their matches at Somerset Cricket Club.
It's BAA. It's just what I witnessed today. Even traveling away, even some of those players from BA might be going back to school, but I think they're just too organized for them guys in terms of what he wants to achieve. So, I'm BA for this. And it's probably going to be a low scoring game too.
Yeah. Maceo?
Yeah, it'll be BA for me. Island Rangers is not going to put a hand on BA.
Well, that's it for the picks. That's it for our deliberations and all of that. So on to next weekend. Let's see what we can get. As we know, again, first match is Thursday night at BAA Field. It's Dandytown and St. George. And then Saturday, it is Boulevard and Hamilton Parish. Two very interesting matchups. I think the game that a lot of people would want to see on Sunday is that PHC Devonshire Cougars match, because it would have a lot of implications on who stays in that title race, a lot longer. And it all depends on what North Village do. Because Crossroads, like you said, Macy, earlier, Crossroads could be the upsetters.
Yeah.
And this weekend coming is an opportunity for them to offset the Apple Card.
They do. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. I
That's
wouldn't be
okay, yeah.
surprised if they can pull one off at North Village. I can't
might,
see
yeah.
it at this time. I can't see it. Like my football brain doesn't see that, but it wouldn't surprise me if it happened.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough. Very interesting game, that one.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Folks, we'll be back next week, Sunday, with another edition of the Island Stats Football Show. Enjoy your evening.
All right, guys.